Hi everyone, it's Anna Wheaton here from Nudge Nudge Ink Ink. I'm creating this video today to share with you a couple of die cutting tips using the Country Woods Sweet collection. These are die cutting tips that will apply to any die cutting, but we came across these when we were cutting out multiples and creating kits for a recent charity day. This is one of the projects that we made, although we fitted it into a square frame, based on the idea in this catalogue. But as you can see, there are lots and lots of die cut pieces. So there are two things we did in particular to save some time that I will share with you. You can see in the dies that there are a lot of beautiful flowers and leaves, alrighty, and they do interchange. So we used, this was the set that we used, but we used those flowers and leaves from both of the sets to create our cards. So here are the sets of dies here. This one, I've done that deliberately. I'm going to show you that in a moment, and this one. And first tip is, when you cut out an image like this, very often you are stuck with the image being inside there. And it does, even though they can be fairly easy to release, you do have to get out your die brush or take your pick tool to poke those out. So that adds to a bit of time of preparation. So this is what we discovered. There are hints about using dryer sheets, for example. They can sometimes leave a little bit of residue on the cardstock. But what we ended up using was this brown baking paper. Now, I don't think it makes any difference whether it's brown or white. This is just what I had in the cupboard, and this is what we have in Australia. So Multix green brown baking paper. So we would just tear some of it off. By we, I say we because there was a few helpers that helped prepare the day. So get our little bit of cardstock. I have my die now nice and clear of that cutout and put that on top. Let's grab, I'm sending it through anyway, let's grab those flowers as well. And then our top plate. And yes, I still use the old magnetic platform. Unfortunately, we don't have one that goes with the stamp cut and emboss machine, but the one from the Sizzix Big Shot fits nicely. So I've sent that through, and when we take this away, you can see that those are left behind. So you don't have to poke them out at all. So that speeds things up. Then the other thing is, what's kind of cool with the brown, but would also be cool with the white, is that we had heaps of these. So if they were in good condition, we saved them. So I actually have a box of them, and people used those as part of their arrangement as well. So it was sort of doing double duty with a nice little discovery there. So that's tip number one. Now I'll show you my other tip, which would be tip number two. In the Country Birdhouse Suite, there are these flowers, 4 flowers. Now sometimes Stampin' Up! Will give us a die that cuts several flowers at once. For example, that one, that will cut 3 flowers which come out separately. That's from the Country Flowers. These are separate. Now, I have shown before that you can join these together with washi. You'll see that they're a little bit, they've got a bit of ragginess on them because I've just peeled off what I'm about to demonstrate to you. So washi will work to hold them together, but by design, washi is pretty fragile, and so it starts tearing pretty quickly. So what I did was I got a piece of copy paper, and just used colour because that's kind of handy so that you can see it. Throw away the correct piece of that. This is our adhesive sheets. So I've just cut a small piece off of that. just going to trim that down. So I have a coloured piece here, and then I'm going to grab this is a 3/4 inch punch. So we don't sell this anymore, it's R for retired, but if you've got it, it's a handy size. If you've got a die cut that's about that size, that is sort of the size that you want. Punch that out. So I've got a yellow side and a white side, and then I'm going to peel that off as well, which will leave me with my yellow, and then this is sticky. Okay, then I've got my 4 flowers. So these 4 flowers all have a little tiny hole or 2 in them. That is really hard to see. My black cardstock is missing. See, there's a hole there and there. I might even be clearer from behind. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. 2 holes. So as much as possible, I want to leave those clear. So what I did was these 2 petals, no holes. So I just stuck those on there. This one, this has 1 hole. No, 2 holes. Okay, so again, 2 petals. This one has 2 petals without holes. So each time I'm leaving a hole exposed so that I can still poke out with my pokey tool if I need to. And this one, oh, this is the one that just has 1 hole. Okay. So you might have to rearrange them a little bit. So I might just bring that one out just a fraction so that it's not butting up against the other die. But because they're stuck to paper and not washi, that's quite stiff, alrighty? So they're not going to jump and go on top of one another when you send them through the stamp, cut and emboss machine. So let's try that. Oh, the other thing I did was I just tapped that with my embossing buddy too, which was, I don't have that handy. But that just takes away the stickiness from the middle. So I'm going to pop that on. Let's just try this. This is grease-proof paper. I thought I'll just grab that and see if it works as well. Put those on top so you can see I can move those around. We did multiples, like we had 55 people for our event, so that lasted a long time. And I borrowed another set of dies, and we ended up with 3 sets of dies with those flowers all joined together. So send this through with the grease-proof paper. It also means that those little dies aren't jumping around. You know how sometimes when you put those little dies down, even without the magnetic plate, they can hop around and not be quite where you want them to be. So there we go. They look white because they've got that greaseproof paper on it. So that's stuck more. That's interesting. That has stuck more to the cardstock than that brown paper. Let's try again since we're fiddling around. We'll just see. Because this brown paper just lifts off really easily, which makes it a dream to cut with. There we go. So all 4 have popped out. And that's lifting already. So I would choose, yep, they're separating. No problem. So between greaseproof paper and the brown baking paper, I would go to brown baking paper. So there you go. And if we grab our dies again, bearing in mind that I didn't embossing buddy those, but look, that's all. That's there from the first pass through. So you can just return that as it is to your magnetic sheet or into your packet, and keep using those. That'll last you a long time, much longer than washi. Alrighty, so there's my tip. Adhesive sheets for that, and the brown baking paper to put in between your dies and your cardstock. Hope that is helpful to you. Thanks for watching. Bye.